Am I the asshole for bringing my sister in law's wallet to the restaurant when she conveniently always forgets it? I never understand people who do that kind of stuff because coming from an Afghan background, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, not just Afghans, is that we fight for the bill. Like, I'm gonna rip your arm off before I let you pay for my bill. And then to know that there's people who will just sit there and be like, oh, I forgot my wallet. Like, can you pay for me? It just blows my mind. I think every time I've gone out with friends and family, it's like World War III trying to pay the bill. My 28 female sister in law, female 26, always comes to visit from out of town. She stays with us instead of a hotel and always wants to go to expensive restaurants. She always conveniently forgets her wallet or domes up with some excuses as to why she can't pay her share. She has implied that since I make much more money than her, I should be the one to pay. No, not my husband should pay, but me specifically. I do make a fair amount of money, but not so much that I can treat someone every time they come into town. Nonetheless, in the past, I have just paid the bill and asked her to pay me back, and she never has. She had made a reservation. Oh, and she's the one making the reservations and not paying? That's weird. She had made a reservation at an extremely expensive restaurant last night, and before we left, I made it clear that I wouldn't be paying her bill. This is where I might be the asshole, and I'll admit I got this move straight from the episode of Two and a Half Men. As we were leaving, her and my husband went to the car. I pretended I forgot something and went back inside. I found her wallet sitting right on top of her suitcase. I put it in my purse and we went to the restaurant. When we were done eating, I asked for a separate bill. She said no, we need one bill because she forgot her wallet again. I reached in my purse and said, "This wallet?" She was extremely furious and she said that I should not have touched or grabbed her wallet. So, am I the asshole for taking her wallet and bringing it to the restaurant? Amy just called me and she saw this post. She yelled at me for bad-mouthing her on the internet. Honestly, I don't care. Amy, hopefully reading all these comments is a wake-up call for you. Wait, oh my god, I'm 26 too, so this is like the perfect kind of scenario. I think that's really weird. Like when we go out to eat, I'm telling you, my brother will always pay. Like if we go to a restaurant, but I'm not the one over here saying, "Hey, let's go out to eat," and making all these fancy schmancy restaurants. And if it was a bill that big, I'm being honest with you, if it was a big bill, like if it's like $50 a plate or like $40, $60 a plate, I would Venmo my brother and be like, "Hey, I got it." But if we're going to like McDonald's or In-N-Out or like Applebee's or Olive Garden, I'll let him take the bill. It's my brother. But it's weird. I just find it so weird why she's pinning it on you. That's the weird part. So, yeah. Am I the asshole for getting my boyfriend arrested? I'll just get straight into it. I'm a college student and this was my last semester until medical school. I've never been able to get a loan and I've worked for 5.5 years to get this degree because I have to pay out of pocket, so it takes way longer. I've worked 2, sometimes 3 jobs at a time and barely had a social life. For this upcoming semester, I reached my goal for tuition, so I quit one of my jobs so I could relax a bit. I was a server/bartender at 2 bars and had an office job, so I always have cash hidden in my apartment in my closet in a box. And before the semester starts, a week or 2 before, I deposit it so I can pay my tuition. My boyfriend sometimes stays over when I'm there and when I'm not. Since I've been saving for this semester, he's the only one who's been over, and I've never told him about the box, but he knows I have to pay for school. Well, yesterday night I get home and put money in the box because I was planning on depositing it today and it's all gone. No, don't tell me your boyfriend took it. I freaked out and tore my apartment up thinking I put it somewhere else knowing I didn't. I called my boyfriend like crazy and no answer. I didn't sleep last night and I was panicking. Then this morning he finally called me back and I'm yelling at him about my money and he's acting all confused and like I'm crazy. He comes over but I'm still pissed off, and after a while he finally admits that he took it so he can borrow it and he'll pay me back. Where the F is he going to get $14,000 from in 2 weeks? Damn, girl, you made $14,000 off of serving and bartending? Good for you, shit. I mean, that's a lot of money. I went into a rage and called the police and reported a theft because that's what he did. Well, it's been hours now, and I guess he got his phone call because his family has been blowing up my phone and his mother has said some really hurtful and racist things to me. They've been harassing me for the past 6 hours now and is stressing me out even more, and I hate the fact that I feel bad for him, but he stole my money that I've been saving for months. His brother did call and he was respectful and said they'll help him pay it back and I should just go to the police station with him and tell him I want to drop the charges, but I don't really believe them. I could do that and never get the money back still. I don't know what to do and I hate that I'm contemplating doing this. I'm just really pissed off and I've been crying all fucking day. Okay, you are definitely not the asshole for reporting this to police. I think that's the best thing you could have done. I think it's needless to say, unless I'm wrong, that you are not going to continue this relationship with this man because he's a thief. And so you definitely should not drop the charges until you get every single penny back. And then run away because he might hunt down and kill you because men are crazy.
Story time about how I crashed my ex's wedding and managed to break them up a month later. I'm definitely toxic and vindictive. So when my boyfriend broke up with me, I knew what I had to do. He and I dated for 9 months, and you could say that I was a little overbearing. If you guys saw what this man looked like, maybe you'd understand. He's the type of guy that all the girls want to get with. Not only is he super handsome, but he's also very successful. And he's a great guy. Comes from a great family and he's really close to them. I, on the other hand, grew up in the foster system, so having a family was always my biggest dream. And when I met his family, they took me in right away. His mom and I essentially became best friends. His dad would take me out to dinners and lunch, and they basically adopted me as their daughter. Here's when things started going wrong. I was extremely jealous and I basically didn't let him do anything. Every time he wanted to go out with his friends, I would start a fight. Anytime he would bring up a female friend from the past, I would simply threaten to break up with him. Trust me, I recognized that what I was doing was wrong, but part of me just couldn't control myself. I was willing to do anything to make him stay with me. Eventually, he got really sick of me, started mentioning that he wanted to take a break. So that's when I told him that I was pregnant. Was I pregnant? Absolutely not. Part 2 is up. Story time about how I crashed my ex's wedding and managed to break them up a month later. The first time he threatened to break up with me, I told him that I was pregnant. It was obviously a lie and he knew it, so he basically still walked out on me. So in order to get his attention again, I decided to go to his family and tell them that I was pregnant. And they all believed me. His mom and dad even invited me to go live with them during the pregnancy. At first I said yes, but then I was like, hold on a second. How am I gonna fake a pregnancy? So to get myself out of that, I told him that I thought I was pregnant, but I actually wasn't. Yep, I'm starting my makeup all over again at this point. I had way too many layers on. During the time we were on a break, I basically followed him around everywhere just to make sure that he wasn't hooking up with any girls. Finally, 2 weeks later, he called me and told me that he missed me. We got back together, but the same thing happened. I was still jealous and controlling, but this time he was becoming more and more jealous. So much so that he started trying to control the way that I was dressing. Around this time, we started having huge fights. He would punch the wall right by my head. I would throw things at him, even threw a knife at him once. But part of me liked that he was so jealous and toxic. He was obsessed with me. And he broke up with me again, and 2 months later, he was engaged. And guess what? His family invited me to their engagement party. Part 3 is up. Story time about how I crashed my ex's wedding and managed to break them up a month later. That's when I get the invitation for his engagement party. At this point, it seems that my ex's parents thought we separated on good terms. So of course, I showed up to that engagement party. As soon as my ex saw me, he came straight to me and told me to leave. And I told him that I was welcome because his parents had invited me. He gave me a whole speech about how we were over and I needed to accept it. But of course, not one single part of me was willing to accept that. Then he called me an Uber, so I actually did end up leaving. When the wedding comes around, I was the first guest to show up. As soon as his parents saw me, they welcomed me. So I went and sat down at the parents' table. When my ex came out, he nearly fell over. Mind you, this is the first time I'm meeting his wife. I went up to her and told her that I was an ex of his. That's when she looked at me and said, "When did you guys date?" I said, "We dated for 9 months. And then she says that they had been dating at the same time. So then a whole bunch of drama goes down. She goes to him and starts slapping him. He starts to cry. And then his parents asked me to leave. So I did. The next month, I followed her everywhere. Finally told me to leave her alone and that they had already gotten a divorce. So my plan worked. Now I'm trying to figure out how to get back with my ex. What should I do?
Am I the asshole for telling someone that I don't care about what triggers them? I, 15 female, am receiving punishment at school for telling another kid I don't care if my scars trigger them. I was attacked by a dog when I was 7 and now have scars on my arms and face. I used to cover them up by wearing hoodies and masks because I was insecure. Recently, I've started wearing less hoodies and more tank tops and t-shirts. Yesterday at school, some rando came up to me and said, "You should cover up your scars, they really trigger me." I immediately got upset, which I guess he could tell by my facial expression. I said I wasn't going to cover them up because my scars trigger them, and if he doesn't want to see them, don't look. Am I the asshole for telling someone that I don't care about their triggers? He left today, but I was called into the office and the principal said I'd be receiving an in-school suspension. The reasoning was due to making your peers and staff uncomfortable with your physical appearance. I don't know if my principal is actually allowed to suspend me for this, and I feel super insecure again. Edited to add that I have told both my mom and dad, and they are pissed. They will be going to the school board in the morning, and I'll probably be posting an update tomorrow after my parents' school board meeting.
Am I the asshole for not taking my boyfriend to the hospital when he'd broken his leg? For context, my boyfriend and I have been together for 6 years and have lived together for the past year. We're both 23. On Friday morning, my boyfriend was fixing our gutters and he fell off the ladder, resulting in a broken leg. He was able to walk in the house due to the adrenaline and shock to tell me what happened and told me that I needed to take him to the hospital. I've been working from home for the past couple years. I had a really important meeting that afternoon that I knew I couldn't just rearrange on such short notice, so I told him I would take him after it was finished. His leg didn't look broken or bruised, and because he was able to walk on it at first, I thought he was probably just being a bit dramatic. I told him to go lie down in our guest room, which is downstairs, and gave him some ice. Around 4 p.m., he fell off the ladder around 10 a.m. His best friend came pounding on the door and immediately started an argument with me. My boyfriend had called him telling him that I was refusing to take him to the hospital and so he needed him to take him. This pissed me off. I wasn't refusing, but I had work and he didn't seem to be in pain. His friend took him and his leg was very broken. All of his friends and his parents are acting as if I profusely ignored him when in reality I was going to take him once I finished my work. So, am I in the wrong here?